2 new people.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least that gives everybody a choice.
Hopefully they didn't drive up and then parking lot was full. I didn't think about that, actually.
You just take the sign off the door.
I didn't actually know there were gonna be this many people in that class before it happened. But who else did it? There are Linda and Louise. Yeah, and those were the only 2, it's just them. Yeah.
No,
The rest
we've
of
got
us
so
are here.
used to that, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
We definitely have one, so.
So sit comfortably, you know, feel free to put blankets under you if you want, or if you don't want to cross your legs, stretch them out, do. If you want to use blocks underneath your knees, do. I forgot to say it's May 20th, Thursday, we're here for gentle yoga. So, shift around a little bit, let yourself just shift a little side to side. Maybe even rock a little bit forward and back if it feels okay to you. You know, don't do anything that doesn't feel good. And then just start to lengthen up through the top of your head. Let your eyes gently close. And be aware of where you bring your hands. In other words, you may put your hands someplace and you feel like it's creating a little bit of tension up into your shoulders. See if you can change to be at that best place for your hands so that you can, as you lengthen up, you feel your shoulders nice and wide and open. And just accept your breaths in and out through your nose. On your next exhale, allow your hands gently to come to meet there in front of your chest. And now keep your hands together, but inhale the hands up through the midline. And you only go as high as your shoulders allow you to. And on your exhale, let them come back down into center. And now go across to the front of your left shoulder, inhaling the hands over to the left. And exhale them, bring them back over to the right. And do that same thing. Inhale over to the left with your hands. And exhale, bring them back to the right. Inhale, hands back into center here now. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Lift your elbows up a little bit. And then go ahead and clasp your hands. Squeeze your palms a little towards each other. And really squeeze your fingers towards each other too. So you really feel the bones in your fingers. And then start to press your hands out from your chest, pressing into the heels of your hands. And we'll inhale the arms up high as you want to go, totally up to you and your shoulders, you know that. And then lean over to your left a little bit so you come into side stretch for the right side of the body. And then we'll come on back up and we're going to go to the other side, pressing up into the heel of the hand. And then we'll come on back up to the top and we're going to release our arms on down beside us here now. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to your left. Bring yourself around and you know that right hand can come to the midline or all the way to your left knee if you want. Look where it feels good for your head, right? Behind yourself or more to your side. Ooh, there's a tinker jet. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center all the way into the other direction. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, use your belly to come back into center. And then come a little bit or a lot forward. That depends on you. You may want to just come a little bit forward from your low back and support yourself. It might feel good to go farther and deeper forward. That's up to you. be mindful, try to let go through your jaw and your face. Let your hips open up there. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up and we're going to switch the cross of our legs. So bring your other leg in front here and then right away, come on forward here again. So you got your other leg in front. Usually it's that front leg, right, the hip that gets the most. So take your time. Now coming in and going out deeply and fully as you can. And we're going to rise on back up from here. And now see if you can bring your right leg out beside you, just a little bit. I mean, if you want your heel on your mat, you know, you might have to adjust sideways on your mat a little bit like I am. But otherwise, if you're okay to have your heel on the floor, just take your time to come a little bit forward here and try to be mindful of your knee here, right? This will get your inner thigh of that long leg. But you want to be careful not to stress out this knee that's bent. So if it really bothers it, you know, change a little bit so that you don't feel stress in your knee or your hip, your left knee or hip here. And just open up a little bit more deeply into the side of the leg there. Good. One more breath. And we're going to come on up. We're going to twist here. We're going to take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to our left. So you can always put your right hand on that left knee if it's available there. Let yourself twist around there. And then use your belly to bring you on back around. And we're going to switch to bring that other foot in and stretch your left leg out. And again, really take your time. So your knee and your toe are facing up on this long leg. If when you come a little bit forward, you feel too much in this knee, use your block, adjust this leg. You can even stretch this right leg out long if you have to, right? Don't put any kind of stress that you don't want to have there in your hip or your knee. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly come up. We're going to twist. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, we'll twist to our right. So again, your left hand can come onto that right knee or not. You know, you can keep your hand more at your foot or your leg. It doesn't matter. Good. One more inhale. And on your exhale, draw on back around into center. And let's just bring our legs forward here now and let our feet circle around, move through. If you want to do little windshield wiper blades, do. Just be mindful. Good. And we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. You know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. Use blankets. Use support under your hands if you want. Go to your forearms, you know, if you want to for your cat-cows. If you have issues in your wrists and that feels better, just start to play a little bit, moving through your cat-cows very easily. And if you find a really kind of tight feeling place that you need to just stay in either of those poses because it helps release it, then do. So finish off the one you're on. We'll come back to more neutral spine. And now just send your right foot behind you. Curl your toes under. Press into your heel there. And just enjoy. Zip up your belly a little bit. Open up the back of that right leg. Good, and now just float that leg up a little bit higher so it's about parallel to the floor. And then bring the knee on back down, and we're going to switch legs. So we'll put the left foot behind us on the floor, and toes are curled under so you can press into the inner heel and find the back of that leg. And then again, lift the leg up about parallel to the floor, or lower is fine, but think of the toes facing down so your hips are square. Good. And then lower that knee on down. We're going to bring our left foot forward. If you like your blocks for your lunge, grab them. Bring that left foot forward and lift up that back knee to find your lunge now, whatever height you want to be. So remember, you can use the chair. You can use your blocks. Enjoy finding that length in the back of the body. Good, and we're going to switch legs. Coming to the other side. And draw your shoulders down. Let yourself find, again, that sense of, really, as you reach into that inner left heel, you're lengthening out through the top of your head, so there's all that space. Good. And we're going to switch again. They must be doing something at Tinker or something. And we're going to switch one more time. And let's come on forward. It's kind of weird, isn't it? I know. Kind of giving me the creeps. So take your time. You can have your hands on your blocks as you come into your forward bend, or release your elbows to above your knees, or of course you can let your hands come down towards the floor if that's good for you. Just be mindful. Let the backs of the legs just naturally open up here. Even if your knees are bent, in your forward bend, you are going to get openness through the backs of the legs. And we will let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to rise up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into your mountain pose. Take your time. Let yourself get situated. Good. Finding your mountain pose. I was wondering where you guys were. Got lost. So get on in here. Grab your stuff. So get your stuff, and then I'll bring blocks because there's not enough over there. So here's you two, and then you can grab two there. And if you want a chair, you can get a chair. So you guys can be right here. You can be right here. You can be one of you right here, one of you right here. So take your time. We're just getting into mountain pose, so you guys haven't missed a lot. Bring your hands to your heart. Feel your feet in the floor. Let yourself lengthen up through the crown of your head. Good. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. We're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend the knees. Come forward into your standing forward bend. Good. Let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back. So if you want, you can have your hands on the chair. You can have your hands on your blocks or on your legs. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. So draw your shoulders down here now. Let yourself again come into that lunge where you feel that openness for the back of your leg. And we'll come on into downward facing dog pose. So ease your way. Dog is about trying to find length in the back, your back body, but also in the backs of your legs. But you can bend your knees and still get a lot in your down dog. How high up your hands are is up to you. Feel your elbows gently hugging in. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. And you don't have to go all the way into a push-up pose. You can go as far as you choose. You're more than welcome to bend your elbows if you like to do little push-ups. You don't have to. And you can come out of your hands if you need and go onto your forearms. And then we'll come on back to that downward facing dog pose. Again, easing your way back. So the higher your hands are, the less stress it is, right? On your hands and your wrists. But you can still get full benefit from the pose. Let's bring our right foot forward to get into lunge. So you might need to put your left knee down if you're on the floor to bring that right foot forward. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Use whatever support you need to support your back. So if you need your elbows above your knees, you need to put your hands or your forearms on your chair or your blocks. Remember, knees can be bent, but think about your sitting bones being over your heels. One more breath. And then we'll bend our knees, press equally into our feet. We're going to rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse our arms. Inhale the hands together up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings. Bend your knees as you come forward into standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice flat, long back. And this time, left foot steps back to come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, your dog is up to you, how high your hands are. If you're on the chair, your heels will be on the floor. If your hands are on the blocks, your heels might be on the floor or they might be hovering. And hands on the floor, chances are your heels are off the floor. We're going to come on out towards a plank. So again, this is up to you. If it bothers your wrist, come down onto your forearms or put your knees down and do a half plank if you feel better to do that too. Let's find that engagement. We're going to come on back to down dog from there. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward. So again, whatever you need to do to come into that lunge with your left foot forward. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Right to your breaths. So get to where you're okay to be as far as what you're using for support. And then see if you can deepen your breath a little bit. Feel like your inhales and exhales are equally important. So when you come into trying to let the breaths even out, you can let your face go and let your jaw go. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Bring your gaze out like you're looking at the horizon, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Feel that sense of letting the body stack itself up in mountain pose. And then imagine you're standing out in an empty, open field. And in Oklahoma, where it's flat, you can look straight out at the horizon, and there you have a lot of length in the back of your neck and your throat. And the hips just want to come over the ankles, the shoulders over the hips. See if you can just imagine the air around you is holding you up. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees, come forward again to that standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, lengthen out again to find that flat back. Remember, you can put your hands on your shins, your thighs, up on your chair, your blocks. And now we'll put our hands back to walk into down dog. So, it's up to you whether you want your hands on your blocks or the floor or the chair. And walk a little bit in your down dog. Bend one knee at a time if you can. And then come on back to full dog. Let your next inhale bring you out to that plank. It is totally optional here what you do. You can stay in plank. You can come to a back bend. You can come to the ground and go to your forearms. Or you can come into a sphinx or a cobra or an up dog. And then we can come on back into downward facing dog pose. Again, if you want to walk a little bit, do, or wag your tail if you want. Let your tail wag a little bit. We're going to do that same thing. We're going to come on out to plank. Again, it is totally optional to add any kind of back bend. You can stay in your plank. You can move through or come into that sphinx or cobra. And then we'll come on back again into down dog. And then from here, we will bring our right foot forward to find lunge. Let yourself imagine your whole body in the pose and feel the back of your head in line with your spine. Good. And then we'll come forward into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And of course, if you want support, use it. Some of you might want to hold your elbows. Or, some of you might want to put your hands behind your legs. Hold on to your calves. Following your breath. In and out. One more nice full breath. And then we'll bend our knees, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to come on up to standing and inhale our arms out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, if you need to shift around a little bit or sway a little bit, do. Let yourself just ease your way into feeling very centered between your feet. Enjoy feeling the space around you. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down and move around a little bit, shake it out, walk around your mat if you want. We're going to come into some warriors. So I'm going to turn my chair around so that I can put my hand on the back of it. Have your blocks handy too so that you'll have them if you need them for what we're going to do. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior two. So bless you, we're going to get our left foot about parallel to the long edge of our mat. Left foot's parallel to the long edge. So other left foot forward for you two. No. So take your time. Let yourself bend that. Let the toes of the left foot face towards the chair, towards the front of your mat, like that. And then make sure this front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. From here, rise your arms up and let them come into a Y, a wide open Y shape. So you're really lifted up and feel equal through the sides of your body. And then turn your palms away from each other and lower your hands on down. And you can turn to look out over the top of that left hand. Let yourself just feel the arms reaching out equally, away from the midline, but your shoulders soften down. Good. And now we're going to turn our left palm up. Put your right hand down on your right hip. And inhale that left arm straight up so you reach up towards the ceiling with your left hand. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm can come to your thigh. You can lean your forearm to your chair back, or you can go all the way down to your forearm on your thigh. And now, let this right arm swing up in front of your chest. See if you can get it up into line with the right side of the body. Now, if that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. Keep your hand down. Maybe you want to have your arm up straight up, if that's better. And now we're going to come back to warrior two, pressing the feet gently away from each other. And we're going to put our hands down, and we're going to turn our feet more parallel and come forward for a wide-legged forward bend. So your feet are at least a little wider than your shoulders. How much wider is up to you. You can put blocks under your hands and then bend a knee at a time. So take your time as you bend one knee and then the other. Feet are pretty parallel, you know. If it hurts to bend your knees one at a time like that, don't do it. Good. And then finish off. Come on back into center. And take your time here now. Let yourself set up to where you can just watch your breath. And you don't feel any kind of stress in your body. So if you need to stack your blocks up, get out of your hands, put your forearms on your blocks. You know, maybe you need to do something else to get comfortable. You can always put your elbows above your knees. That supports the back, lengthens the back out. But release if you're able to let your head hang due. And now bring your awareness to feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. And then feel how the ribs just come back in as you exhale. That kind of accordion-like movement. One more breath. And from here, we're going to slowly start to think of coming up. So whatever you need to do to rise back up to standing, if you need to bring your feet together, use your hands to help you, walk your feet together, walk around a little bit. And we're going to get ready to go the other side. So this time it will be the left foot that steps back. And heels are pretty much in a line. Back foot is about parallel to the back edge of your mat. Right foot is about parallel to the long edge. And then again, let yourself just bring your gaze up. Let your arms rise up to that Y shape. Turn your palms to look at each other. Feel like your arms are growing out of your back. So really think you want to release the tops of your shoulders. And then we'll turn the palms away from each other and lower the arms down for Warrior Two. Bringing our gaze right out over the top of that right hand. Feeling the feet equal in the floor. Might even press your feet a little away from each other. And then just put your left hand on your left hip and turn the right palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Deep breath here into the right side. And on your exhale, come on into that side angle. So again, you can put your hand on your thigh. You can put your forearm to your chair or your thigh. That's up to you. And then adding that left arm, kind of swinging up into line with the left side of the body is, again, optional. Your shoulder says no. Listen to your shoulder. Keep your hand down. Still getting a lot out of this pose. You don't have to add the arm at all. Good. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two from here. Press those feet away from each other. Gets us right back into the pose. And then we'll let our hands come down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend. So take your time. You know, once you get your hands down, if you need to bend a knee at a time, by all means do. And then walk your hands over towards one foot. Doesn't matter which one. Just walk over. You can just shift your blocks a little bit, or you can walk all the way to the foot. Stay there for a couple of breaths. And then we'll come back through center. And again, you might just want to shift your blocks, or you might want to walk with your hands over towards the foot. Come to the other side and then just stay there and breathe. Good. And then we're going to come back into center. Stay here again for a few breaths where you can feel really relaxed. So in other words, if you need to just Give yourself some support to get out of your hands. I know some of you might decide you want to bring your hands back towards between your feet and let your head hang fully. That is not for everybody's back, so you just have to explore your options and find where you can find the most release for yourself in the pose. And then receive those breaths. See if you can find those little spaces between your breaths. So you inhale, you feel a little space, a little pause before you exhale. And the same thing at the end of your exhales. You feel a little space, a little pause before you inhale. Good. One more breath. And then take it easy. When you start to think of rising up, be really mindful of how it feels. You can bring your feet together first before you rise up. Walk your feet together. Move around a little bit. Good. And from here, let's either turn our chairs for the seat to be around the faces or get your blocks, right? Or both maybe, if you have both, if you don't know what height you want to be. We are going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back into lunge. But right from that lunge, we're going to come into a pyramid pose, all right? So we're going to bring the right foot fully down to the floor, turned out. Both legs are going to straighten out now. Your back foot is turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. The heel is fully on the floor. And your thighs, you know, if you can't get your legs straight, shorten the stance. You can have 2 feet between your heels instead of 3. Or even less, right? But focus in, if you can, on trying to keep those thighs lifting up towards the hips, the legs straight, and then lengthen through your spine. Like you have a yardstick in your back, right? So you have all this length. Thighs lift up. Good. Now I know some of you like to fold a little over your leg. If you like to do that, you can. So totally up to you. You don't want to do that, don't do it. Good. And then come back up enough here to where you can put your hands where you want as you bend your front knee and find full lunge again. So now you're going to reach that right heel directly behind your foot. And we're going to bring our left hand to our left hip and turn into a little twist here. So you can roll your left shoulder up. You can stretch the arm up if you want. Left arm can stretch up, or you can keep your hand down on your hip or on your low back. Good. And then we'll bring that hand on back down. We're going to step our right foot forward, and we're going to switch and step our left foot back. Find your lunge at first. And then when you're ready to come into that pyramid pose, you've got to lower that back foot to the floor, straighten that front knee out so both legs are straight. The back foot is turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. Your thighs are engaging up towards your hips so you create space in your knees. It also protects you from overstretching your hamstrings to engage your legs like that. And again, if you feel pretty good, fold a little bit more over that front leg, then do. If not, don't do it. Good. One more breath. And now again, bring your hands back to the surface you like to use. Bend the front knee and find that full lunge. Reach your left heel directly behind your foot. And we're going to add a twist. Right hand up to the right hip or the low back if you choose, and bringing that shoulder up or the arm up if you choose to. That twist is in the middle of the back. You're trying to stay fairly level in your hips there. Good. One more breath. And And bring yourself on back with the hand down. We're going to step forward and get our feet underneath us. And then go ahead and bend your knees, press into your feet, and rise on up. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Now from here, stretch your arms straight out from your shoulders for a second. And then give yourself a hug. Now you can hug over the tops of your shoulders. You can be low down by your armpits. It's how you're built in your shoulders what feels good. And now, let's do a little chair. Sit like you're sitting back and you're going to sit down in a chair. It doesn't have to be a low chair. It can be pretty high. And if you want, you can stay right here. If you want to come into a little more of a wrap of your arms, you can release your hands and send the backs of the hands towards each other. And it doesn't have to be a full eagle wrap. You can do the wrap if you want. You can put your right fingers into your left palm if you want to. One more breath there. Now press into your feet. Come up. Keep your arms the way they are, whatever way you have them. Let yourself come up to standing. And if you have your arms wrapped, see about lifting your elbows a tiny little bit. And then release them on down. And unwind. We're going to bring the other arm on top. So right away, switch. And let yourself hug the other arm on top. And then once you get comfortable, sit back. Feel your thighs engaging. Let yourself feel that release between your shoulder blades. And if you want to stay hugging, stay hugging. Wrap, sending the backs of the hands towards each other. Not possible for some people's shoulders at all. So you be where you can. Think of opening up between the shoulder blades on your back. Now see about pressing into your feet, rising back up to standing, but let your arms stay the way they are. If you have a wrap going on, if your elbows can lift a little bit, do. And then we'll go ahead and release elbows down, release arms down, separate your feet a little bit. And let yourself just swing from side to side. So your arms are swinging. And as they swing, they're going to kind of wrap around you a little bit. So they're going to wrap, but they're heavy. You're not placing your arms, in other words. It's the momentum of just letting yourself go side to side. And then your arms are flippy floppy and they feel heavy. And your shoulders can relax. Good. Nice. And then finish off. Come on back into center. Shake out a little bit. And we're going to bring our mats into a wall. So you two there, you're there. You guys, I don't know if you have room side by side. One of you could come over here if you want. If you have room, I don't know. You're right there by the light. Or you could go maybe into that. I don't think you'd fit in that wall. Linda, you want to come over here? So bring your hand to the wall. Left hand to the wall. And bring a block with you, too. So bring your mat all the way into where there you go. And let yourself have the block any height. I'm going to put mine lowest, but between your left foot and the wall, right? So that when you stand on that left foot, you can cross and put your toes of your right foot over onto that block. Right? So, you can stay right here and let yourself, it's your outside leg. So, turn around and do the same leg. So put your block on the other side, Linda, between your left foot and the wall. There you go. And now put your right foot over onto that block. Yeah, there you go. So put your toes, point your toes, put just the tips of your toes on the block. There you go. And now bend your left knee and sit like you're sitting in a chair. And when you do, your thighs come together. And it's intense. Now, this might be intense enough. You might not want to do anything more. You might want to just even try to let go of the wall and balance if you want with your hands at your heart. Yeah. I might be kidding. Or keep holding on to the wall. So you're going to feel your thighs. You're going to feel your hips. We're going to come on up from that. We're going to turn around And we're going to do the other side. So again, you're standing on that right leg. Your left foot goes over to the block. You can touch your toes. As you bend your right knee, remember how we just did that sitting in a chair? It's the same kind of thing. Your hips go back. Your body comes a little forward like you're about to sit in a chair. And maybe you can let your hands come to your heart. If you squeeze your thighs together a little bit for eagle, might feel good. Good. One more breath. Really strengthening, that is. We're going to come on down. We're going to turn left hand back to the wall. And now, get your block to where you can put your left foot up on the block. You're stepping up on the block. Lowest height. Let the block be the lowest height. Right? And then from here, don't be too close to the wall, but you want the wall to help you a little bit. You're just going to push into that foot and lift your right foot up. It's like you're just stepping up and then back down. So you're going to step up and then let the right foot come back down. So try to stay fairly centered here. So as you press up, try to let that right leg come right underneath you when it comes down. And then you press into your thigh. It's hard work. Right? You're going to feel the engagement of your quad. You're using your knee like crazy. It's similar to walking up steps, right? But harder in a way, right? So finish off. We're going to turn around, and we're going to do the other side. So the right foot is on the block. You're going to push into the block with your foot, step up with that left foot off the floor. When it comes down, let it be right under you. So lifting up and coming back down. And you can hold the wall to do this, man. I'm holding the wall. You guys who are trying not to hold the wall, more power to you. It's harder if you don't have your hand on the wall. So finish off. That's a good workout for the thighs and the hips, right? And then let yourself release. Turn your back to the wall. And let yourself for a second bring your heels maybe 12 to 18 inches away from the wall. And the knees are softly bent. Let your knees just be soft. See what happens if you bring your hands and clasp them behind your buttocks there, right? So don't press into the hands to squeeze them. I mean, you're just barely touching, with your hands are on the wall. You're barely touching with your bottom there. And just release. Now, totally up to you, whether it feels good or not, to send your hips forward and let yourself straighten your legs out a little bit. And you're still got the back of your head into the wall. Belly is lifted. You want to feel really lifted through this front of the body, through the front of your hips, right here. And you shouldn't feel any kind of like a compressed feeling in your low back. One more breath. Nice. And then release. Let yourself shift your hips back to the wall again. And then walk your feet in. Turn around. Bring your hands to the wall. And start to walk your feet back. We're going to do a down dog with our hands at the wall. So we're turning into trying to be like the capital printed letter L shape. So that's, if that's too much for your wrists, come onto your fists or your fingertips, either one at the wall, right? So that you take any kind of stress out of your wrist. But have your hands shoulder distance apart, glance at them on the wall, make sure you don't have one higher than the other. And then let yourself reach back through your tailbone, find that length of your spine. This is a great pose to do on your kitchen counter at home. You do take it out of the wrist that way too. You can just put your hands on top of the counter and walk back and come into that flat back. It's a great pose. And you can do it frequently if you happen to be cooking in your kitchen, right? One more breath. Good. And then we're going to walk on back towards the wall and shake everything out. Move through your wrists a little bit. And we're going to come down onto the floor, onto our bellies. So let yourself come on down, release, and if you can, just make a little pillow with your hands and rest your head there on your hands. If you get there and you can bend your knees, do. Let your feet circle around a little bit. They can circle both ways. They can go side to side in those windshield wiper blades if you want to. So just be nice and easy. Breathe. Good. And then from here, we're going to come into being on our elbows in Sphinx with our fingers spread nice and wide and our palms facing down. So if this hurts your back, come lower. Slide your elbows down towards your waist so you're not up high. Your nose might barely be off the floor, right? You can be up to where the elbows are under your shoulders, wherever you're comfortable to be. Feel your belly engaging a little bit. Good. And then bend your right knee. Flex your foot. Let yourself just use the muscles in your legs to pull that heel in towards your buttocks. And then bring that down and we'll go to the other side. Good. And then bring that foot down. Go back to the first side and flex that right foot. Pull the heel in. Press into your forearms a little bit. Engage your belly. And then we're going to switch again. Left leg comes up. Press into the forearms. Feel that quad stretch there. Good. And then come on back down. And we're going to release and bring our arms down alongside the body, turning the palms down towards the ground. And on our next inhale, we're going to float up into a little locust pose. Just easily letting yourself float up. Be mindful. Be gentle. Release back down. Let your head actually turn to one side. Once you get your head turned to that one side, turn your palms up. Let your arms really relax in your shoulders. And breathe into your low back. Now, if you can't get really comfortable with your head turned that way, maybe change it a little bit. Sometimes bringing the chin down more helps you release, or letting your ear come a different way into the ground too. I mean, if you can find a release, do, and breathe. Good. We're going to rise the head up and turn it to the other side. So sometimes one side is totally doable and the other side is like, oh my gosh, it's a different person's head, right? So just be where you can and breathe into your low back. Good. One more breath. Good. And now let yourself come up enough to roll onto your left side. So you're going to stretch your left arm up if possible, right? And let yourself, if that's not possible, instead, maybe put a blanket or a block under your head and let that left arm on the bottom do what you need to do for your own shoulder, right? And we're all different. So if you need to adjust that arm, do it, if lying out with it long doesn't work. And now bring your right foot in like you're going to do tree pose. Your right foot is coming to the inside of your left leg, and the knee is not directly up to the ceiling because most of us don't have a 180-degree turnout, but it's up there. And that alone, just pressing into the outside of your left foot on the ground, that might stabilize you. You may decide that you want to bring your arms up overhead. You can bring the arms out long overhead if you want to, or not. You can keep your hand on the floor. Let the hip open up there. Good. And now, bring that right leg back long, and now see if you can just do what we did on the floor. Bend the knee. The foot's going to come behind you. Now, if you can reach back with your right hand and get hold of the top of your right foot, you can pull the heel in towards you. Otherwise, don't do it, right? You can just flex the foot and do what you did on the floor where you didn't reach and get your foot. Nice. One more breath. And now let that leg come back long. And we're going to roll back to our bellies and come to the other side. So letting yourself roll onto your right side. So here we are, a new side, right? So maybe this arm is better or worse, right? The underside. So if you need a block, put it under your head. Let your arm come down more. However you can lie on your side there. Support your head if you can with a block or with your arm if possible. And now flex that right foot. Feel the outside of your pinky right toe pressing down. And bring your left foot up like you're doing tree. It can be on your calf. It can be on the inside of your thigh. You know, just where you feel really good to be in your hip. And then if you keep pressing into the outside of that right toe, you might want your arms to come up overhead. You might not. Keep pressing into the foot, and that really helps stabilize. That helps you engage into the core of the body. Good. One more breath here. And let the leg come back down long. We're going to bend that knee again with the foot coming behind you. And again, if your left hand can get hold of your foot, get it. If not, don't worry about it. You can pull the heel in towards your buttocks a little bit. You can press the foot into your hand a little bit, which engages really very differently than when you're pulling it inward, right? So you can play a little bit with both. Just let it feel really good. Keep pressing into the outside edge of that right foot. And then we'll lower that leg down long again. We're going to roll back to our bellies. See about coming into a little half or full forearm plank. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Clasp your hands. Press down into your forearms. You can either lift your feet up and be on the flesh above your knees, or you can put your toes down and lift up into a full forearm plank. Whichever one you're doing, imagine you're drawing yourself towards the front of your mat. And feel how the belly just goes crazy. It feels great. One more breath. And then we're going to release down. We're going to come back towards child's pose. So shifting back now, letting your big toes come together. Your knees are as far apart as you want. You can stay kind of forward onto your forearms if that's better for you. You can shift back your hips towards your heels. And you know, you have to just be really mindful of how your own knees and your hips feel. Nice, full, easy breaths. So feel the breath coming into the low back. Good. One more breath. And then bringing your hands back by your knees so that you can help yourself up to sitting and let your legs come on around in front of you and stretch them out and kind of circle a little bit with your feet, both directions, or wiper blades back and forth, or you know, you can do little leg bounces too, where you bounce your legs up and down a little bit. Just really release as best you can. And then bring the soles of the feet towards each other into a little Badakanasana, bound angle pose, right? So now for some of us, we put our feet together out there and naturally our tailbones, tuck forward, right? Which is not how we want to be sitting if we can help it, right? So you can put your feet as far out as you need. You can use your hands like this and let yourself press down so you can lengthen up, right? Lengthen up so that you're not tucking your tailbone forward. In fact, you're kind of reaching your tailbone back behind you a little bit. And the other thing you can do is if you're like, well, that doesn't really exactly feel too good how far away my feet are, you can get closer to your feet. You can shift your way until you feel like, you know, you're at the best place to be to sit up tall.
And even if you need to have your hands behind you, that's fine. Or you can have your hands on your knees or hold your legs here, your shins. Lengthening up through the top of the head, imagining your knees are releasing away. If your hips feel really tight and uncomfortable, try blocks underneath the outside of the legs, because that might allow your hips to release a little more. And then if you come forward a little bit with a long back, if that doesn't feel good, come back out of it. If it feels like a relief, then let yourself keep coming. Stay forward or come farther forward if you'd like, so that you have that sense of releasing in your inner thighs, and you're trying to let your hips relax. You're not trying to tighten or tense anything up. And just breathe. Good. One more breath. And then as we come on back up, now do let your hands come behind you and draw your chest a little bit forward. You can be on your fingertips. You can lean back more if you want, but really think about a string being attached to your sternum and someone's drawing it forward and up on a diagonal line, and that's going to bring your chest forward. Let your shoulders draw back and let yourself open the front of the body here. Try to let your shoulders come down away from your ears. Good. And then we're going to release. Go ahead, use your hands to bring your knees up, stretch your legs out, and we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor from here. So take your time. Keep blocks handy in case you want them. We'll come on down. We'll bring our knees in towards our chest. Now, when you get your knees in, let them do just what they want, right? The knees might want to come side to side. They might want to circle, or they might just want to be there in the center, and you just let yourself release your low back. Just kind of let the hips go, the low back release, however feels best. You can always just hug your knees in and out to the sides a little bit. Good. And then keep your right knee in to the chest and let your left leg come down and stretch it long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Actually, switch to hold on behind your right thigh, right? So instead of holding your shin, if you were, hold behind your thigh. And then send the right foot up like you're putting a footprint on the ceiling. And the knees bent, that's fine. Kind of hug your right thigh down more towards your outer right rib cage. So you go a little deeper into your hip. Keep the knee bent. Good. And then bend the knee back down so you come deeper into that bend. And we're going to switch to bring the left knee in and extend the right leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Enjoy feeling that natural curve in your low back. So you're not really pulling the knee down towards you harshly. Instead, you're pressing your leg back in towards your hands. And then again, switch to hold behind your thigh if you're not already. Send the left foot up like you're putting that footprint on the ceiling. And see if you can use your hands to pull that left thigh a little more down towards your outer ribs. It's like you're almost pulling your knee down towards your shoulder a little bit. Just a little deeper into the hip, also getting into the back of the leg. Good. One more breath. And then go ahead and bend that knee more. Bring your other knee in. And now stretch your legs up into the air. And do a little like you're doing cross-country skiing movement with your legs. Back and forth a little bit. Flex your feet. Feel the backs of your legs. Now you can play a little bit with one leg at a time going lower towards the ground. But make sure that your back stays the same. So you have a bit of natural curve in your low back. Make sure your back's not popping up and down, right? So these are, this works your abs, it works the core. You can lower one leg at a time down, or you can keep your feet up higher and just go back and forth. If you'd rather do an old-fashioned bicycle, do it. I love them. You can move through, biking a little bit up there. Good. We're going to finish off whatever we're doing here. And we're going to bring our feet down to the floor. Now, you may want to reach and get a block for bridge rather than pressing up. So if you prefer supported bridge, you can get that block, lift up, and put it right on the base of your spine, right there in your sacrum, that flat part. That's where you want to support with a block. Or you can not use the block at all. Bring your arms alongside you. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Let your palms face each other. And if you press into the back of the arms, you might be able to lift up either low or higher into bridge. You can do that on your block too. If you feel like you want to lay on the block and relax, but then lift up and down off of a block, you can. So remember, bridge pose. You don't have to stay any longer than you want. You can move up and down. You can stay down and rest. Bring your knees in. Go and try up again. But you don't want to feel your back. You don't want to feel a discomfort or a clenching feeling in your back in bridge pose. If you get up in bridge, you'll feel your thighs. You've got to use your legs to get up there. But you do want to feel this sense of length in the front and the back of your body. And those of you who are on support and like the block and like to be on the block and stay there and lift your leg or legs up from there, you can play with your support on the block on your sacrum with your legs up if you want. Or you can play with those leg lifts here too. Or just not, just leave the legs up in the air, which is great pose to be on that block and just let your legs float up there. So be mindful. You know that whatever feels good and you don't stay any longer than you want. Sometimes it's very tempting in bridge pose to really grip. Try not to do that if you can help it. Just let yourself come down. Good. So, if you're not already out of your bridge pose, let yourself come on down. Once you get down there, let your knees gently come in to let the back release. And then let your feet come to the floor. Bring your arms out beside you. And let your knees just very gently come from one side to the other. Now, you can do these double knee twists, either moving with your breath, exhaling when the knees come to the side, inhaling them back up to center, exhaling them when they come to the other side. Or you may decide that, you want to let yourself stay on one side and be there a few breaths without shifting back and forth. If these are not comfortable, you find the twist of choice for you today, right? So if you'd rather come into bringing one knee in and across the body in your twist, by all means do. You want to take your time so that you'll easily, when it's time to come into Shavasana here soon, you'll be able to be comfortable. So if there's any other movement you need to do, any other kind of pose you need to do, I'm going to walk around and start to get the lights. And then I'll start to bring stuff. I'll start to bring bolsters and blankets, whatever anybody here at the studio needs for support. So remember, if you like having a bolster underneath your knees. I'll start to come around and look for waves. It helps to release your low back for many people. Not everybody. We're all different. It's worth a try if your back bothers you. You're welcome. I have an inkling over here. The right inkling. You're welcome. I got you. And I got you. Welcome. You're welcome. So, you think you want one? Got it. You think you want one too, Linda? Good. Did it help last time? Yes. Try that one. Sometimes you have to move it a little bit if it's not quite in the right place. You do want your heels on the ground. And you want to be able to just like really release. So when your legs straighten out, your heels should be on the ground. Does that feel like a good place? You can always arrange it. So just enjoy the ground underneath you. Accepting your breath in and out. And your breathing will change as you start to relax. Your mind wanders off, and when you come back, you've been breathing kind of a little nice shallow breath, and you need to breathe deeper again, and that'll happen over and over. But just give yourself these few peaceful moments. And let the breath, the wave of your breath, bring you into those little quieter places where you can benefit from all the poses and the movements you just did. And let yourself completely and fully relax. yourself start to accept your breaths in a little more deeply. So you're aware of feeling your body move as you inhale and exhale, your belly, maybe even up into the ribs, feeling that sense of the breaths coming back to refresh you, really, bring you back into wanting to move gently and starting your fingers and toes, if you can, with your extremities moving, your hands, your feet, and into letting your arms and your legs, when you're ready, move the way you need. So you can bring your knees in if that releases your back, or stretch yourself out long. And you're more than welcome anytime, of course, to roll onto either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to do that, you can stay with your knees soft and maybe use your arm as a pillow in your fetal position there. It helps you have time to adjust, really, to coming back to feeling physical again. And just be really easy when you do feel like you're ready to come up to sitting. If you can keep your eyes closed, do, so that your body can adjust into sitting comfortably. You know, you may decide you need a blanket, or you need to stretch your legs out, or you may want to cross your legs. Just get to where you're comfortable in your hips, and your shoulders can feel nice and wide and open, and really feel like your head is up there on top, just floating. So you feel the sense of reaching up through the top of your head, and you feel rather lightheaded, actually. And watch your breath again, coming in and going out through your nose. And let your next exhale bring your hands to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Thursday.